Good morning. It's Erica of AriBo Arts, and we're here for Battmaking with AriBo Arts. And I know I'm a few minutes late. Been running around trying to find stuff. Not sure if I have exactly what I want, but I think we're going to go with it. But I'm actually I need to straighten some tines on Sebastian here. So I'm going to tilt you down so you can actually watch me do this before I start making the bat. We're making a special bat today. So I reorganized my whole area here, but I had a lot of stuff that I didn't know where it was going, and it ended up on the staircase outside. And then my neighbors came for the weekend, and so I had to like shove everything back in here. So things are all a little bit discombobulated. And then yesterday I was like, okay, we've got to deal with this, and then I didn't. So that's what I was doing this morning. So I'm making a bat today for Janet. Last week, AriBo Arts was the prize for the daily Season of Giving giveaway here in Wafa. And the prize for me was a custom bat. And so I'm making that custom bat today. I know Janet, she's bought things from me before. She's a felter. So her big thing was it had to be a feltable fiber. Which usually, since I don't deal with superwash at all, superwash does not felt, hence superwash. And I'm just using this is my mother's knitting needle, or one of my mother's knitting needles. Get some teeth that have gotten out of alignment, so because those will just grab at the fiber, and so it's easier if I just straighten them out. So she put in a request. She mostly makes the things I've seen from her are scarves. You know, she's made scarves, felted scarves that she's entered into competitions and won prizes on. And so she requested purple and turquoise, possibly with sage green, and then some bronze accent. She said no neps. She didn't say anything about sparkle, so I'm going to avoid sparkle. I do have bronze. I don't know if I have bronze Angelina. Pretty sure I have bronze. Sorry, I have bronze Angelina. I don't know if I have bronze Firestar. So, just trying to get a few of these teeth straightened out. So I've been like, because earlier this month I went through and reorganized a lot of my fiber in preparation for the fact that got to do inventory soon. And that's good enough. So I don't really have a turquoise, but I did find this, which is sort of a light turquoise. So I'm hoping this is going to be acceptable. Oh, and she told me this is going to be the front of a vest. Okay. And then I pulled two purples. These are all from Woolly Knob Fiber Mill in Indiana, which means they're mostly Romney. So I got this purple and then this purple. This has got more blue in it. This is a little paler. So I didn't know if she wanted to go pale, she wanted to go all three, she wanted something more stark. I'm not sure she's going to be watching today. She said she'd tune in later, maybe. I don't have a lot of green add-ins. I do have a little bit of this green bamboo. And while I don't have bronze, this is sort of a bronzy brown. It's called Jolly Roger. And so I figured I'd use that. Yeah, so I'm just trying to sort of think and do this since I don't know how she approaches her felting when I went felt with a bat. I do sort of spread it out, but sometimes I will move stuff around. So I don't know if sort of a half and half is going to work better for her, or something random and mixed. And I forgot to ask that. So, let me see. Yeah, and I also don't have a lot of room to work around over here, and so I'm always like shifting totes back and forth and so forth. I really do kind of like all three together. Because she's getting a tiny bit of Angelina, because there appears to be a little bit of Angelina in, I can't tell if it's surface contamination or if it's in the, when I buy stuff from Jamie, he often has these big, huge racks and with shelves in them. And there's, there's fiber fluff everywhere. And so it could be cross-contamination. But, okay, so let us... I think what I'm going to do, and Janet, if you're watching, or rewatching this later, I think I'm going to do sort of a gradient that you can tear apart and move as you need it. How about that? Pretty purple. And we'll see if I can actually see comments this week. Last week I actually, for the first time in like a year, I was able to see comments. So Janet, if you are the person who's watching, if you want to chime in before I get too far into this, if you like your colors more mixed up. But I figured if you did stripes, you could also then tear apart and rip pieces off to place where you want them. The add-ins I would do across the whole thing. So one of the tricks though when you're making a bat that has sections like this one will, is you want to make sure they overlap. If they don't overlap, the bat will fall apart. I do have to take a little bit of VM out of this. Another piece right there. Okay, I'll start with this little piece here. This one in particular seems to be a little VM heavy, so I think every time I pull a piece off, I'm just going to double check it. So not only do I tease it out to make it flatter, but that also lets you check for VM. And the VM mainly seems to be sort of grassy hay, and they're pretty big pieces. So. Now if I recall from making past bats with this Romney, I'm not going to get extremely full. It's not as bad as the Coopworth. The Coopworth is like so much air in there. This is better. It's not going to be like a merino top where I can get like 30.5 ounces, but a little bit of this bronze. I'm going to do a little bit of this green. Now, I don't want to go super heavy on the bamboo because bamboo is not a feltable fiber. It's something you have to trap underneath in between the layers. Okay, and then we just repeat. Yeah, I did try and check to see if there was any silks that I had that worked color-wise. One of my silks, I have like, I got bright green, I got bright blue. Actually, hang on. I wonder. I did have some turquoise silk. Hang on 1 second. 1 second. Can I find, and I've also moved, this is my, can you see it back here? Yeah. I moved this recently. Should be somewhere turquoise mulberry silk that I got from my friend Caroline. I was at to sing Sweet Caroline. Remember, she's not a Carolyn, but she's a Caroline. Creating an avalanche. Used to be right here, but it definitely got moved. That's bright. There it is. That's turquoise, right? Put a little bit of that in there. There we go. Okay, next layer. Piece of VM stares you in the face and you still miss it. Once I finish with this bat, I will be gotta finish hanging laundry. I did it yesterday and then I forgot about it in the washing machine, so I was like, oh yeah, let's get that hung up please, quick. And then I will run over to the post office and mail Janet's bat here. Also have some commissions I have to mail. And then I'm going to head out to the recycling center. A couple years ago, it was decided by my condo building manager that we would no longer have recycling. We've got a couple big trash dumpsters in the back, but I guess they decided they didn't want to pay for the recycling. Which actually means I probably need to, I think I'm still paying for it on my utilities. So what's happening is, so there's condos upstairs, there's businesses downstairs, and both some of the other condo residents and some of the businesses, they just throw all their cardboard boxes, mostly, in the trash, which is really annoying because it fills up the dumpster really fast. Tomorrow's trash pickup and it'll be empty, and by Friday it will be half full with boxes, which I think is really rude, because the recycling center is only like 2 miles away, and so I'm one of the good residents who actually takes the recycling to the recycling center. do bronze. Jolly Roger. And after that, I'm going to head down to my guild. We had a pop-up holiday sale this weekend. Didn't get a lot of people. I made a tiny bit of money, which is better than no money. But got permission to leave my garments because I don't have a show again for a while. Leave my garments there for the winter so that if anyone comes by and wants to shop, they can shop them. So I'm going to go sort of work on those things. And then last week I did some clothes dyeing, so those things need to be labeled and then put out on the racks. And then I've got a rug that I started last month. Actually, I think I may have started at the end of October. And I got about halfway in, and then I had a bunch of shows. And then I hit the deer. So I didn't have a vehicle, so I couldn't get down there, even though it was free. Okay, there's also a little bit of Angelina in here, too. So, just letting you know, Janet. Okay, so that one goes there. I think because it's pretty fluffy here, I'm going to be pressing down. Keeping it in there. And so I only got to start to work on it again this past weekend. I'm about maybe 3/4 of the way now. It's a simple plain weave. It's a 2-harness loom. Nice big rug loom. You get to throw the shuttle. Now it's a rag shuttle that I'm using. Though my, I think that might be an 8/2 cotton for the warp. It's a common, it's what we call a guild warp, where the building and equipment person or somebody picks out a warp and puts it on, and then you sign up to do one rug on it. And then you pay the guild, I think it's, I don't remember if it's per inch, or, yeah, I think per inch you pay a certain number of cents. Okay, I feel like there's something big in there. What is it? I can't tell if it's, that just felt like a little knot. And so it's a very neutral, it's a sort of ecru beige brown combo. And I'm using peaches and cream, actually. Ecru, they're sort of light brown, and turquoise. And it was going to be mostly, well, I really liked the way the brown looked on it. And so I was like, oh, cool, I'll do this. And then I went back to buy, so I'm like, I've got to go buy more because it was just, these little balls. My turquoise is a cone. I got plenty of turquoise. But I went back and they were sold out. Now, I should probably on my way down stop and see, because they may have restocked by now. But as a Walmart, you never know when they're going to restock. Oh, there's another big piece of... Nice big piece. So, I mean, the brown looked really, really cool with it, but when I got to the halfway point, or roughly what I figured was that halfway point, and I've been writing down, like, how many inches I'm doing of each color, and when I got, and so I started on the second ball of the brown, which turned out was not the same dye lot. but we're not going to worry about that because there's nothing I can do about it. We ended up, so I decided when I reached the middle point, I did a stripe of the ecru, which is just sort of a tiny accent, and then I sort of flipped it. So what was brown on the part I'd already done would now become turquoise, and what was turquoise would become brown. So I'm working my way back. So hopefully tomorrow's open studio at the Guild, so hopefully I'll make more progress today and then finish tomorrow. And then the next person up can start theirs. And what I really need to do is warp up some of the looms I have at home. I may take one down tomorrow, one of my rigid heddles, and because part of the problem is I don't have a good table set up that I can warp it on, and then something I can clamp the clamp, which actually I don't use those little peg things they come with. I actually use I have one available right now because I think it's in my other bag. One of those woodworker clamps that are like with a really, really long metal piece. And what you do is you clamp it upside down so that that long metal piece sticks up, and you use that as the peg as opposed to the other one. It's much more stable. Just seems to work better. Trick I learned at my guild. And so we've got a set of bookcases that work really well if I clamp it. Clamp to it. And so I'm probably going to do some warping tomorrow. So Jan, I hope you're watching, or maybe you're watching on a replay. Facebook will leave this up for 30 days, and they'll delete it. I will be downloading it and putting it up on YouTube, probably this morning. This one's like a really thin piece. We may need more. Let's get this here to encourage it. A little bit more there. I feel like I'm picking VM off over and over and over again. And I gotta check my grocery store. I want to see if they're gonna have any like sale. They had like a fuel saver sale thing this past weekend. I didn't go, but I want to get like some chocolate bark and some white chocolate bark because I tried something. I really liked it, and so I want to make it as a little gift for my cat sitters. And that is cranberries with the ones I particularly had were just the white chocolate. They were so good. I'm like, how hard is this to make? And so I got the recipe from the woman who made it. I'm like, not that I've ever dealt with, melting bark and dipping things in it, but it just was so good. And I did get some cranberries because they're starting to mark the cranberries down because, Thanksgiving is over. And I guess people don't think of it as a Christmas food. I don't know. But so if people are commenting, since I still can't see any, I will respond after this is over. Okay, and I do apologize, Janet. There is definitely some Angelina in there. Or Stelina, I'm not sure which one. But it's, I don't know if you can catch the flash. There. See, I think it's only in that one. Oh, let's do the other colors first. Forgot about that. A little bit of green. And then the turquoise silk. I was just sort of checking here at the doffer crease. Definitely want this to be thicker. Yeah, it's actually quite warm. Snow is melting. Tomorrow's supposed to get up to 40. It's going to be upper 30s today. Which means I may also... I never got my garden completely cleaned out from the city because I was planning on doing it sort of after my shows because it wasn't supposed to snow. And then, of course, I hit the deer and didn't have the van to get over to the garden. And, you know, I got tomato cages still there. And a rake. Stuff didn't actually all get pulled out. And, I mean, my plan is to have the same spot again next year. But, and they did give me back my deposit, which is good. But I'm really like, I didn't clean it up the way I was supposed to. And that's one of the rules. You're supposed to, you know, leave it in good repair, but just a plan, you know, the deer. I'm blaming the deer. Sebastian's still a little squeaky. But if it's warm enough, I can, hopefully the ground isn't too frozen. And two of the tomato cages aren't in the ground. They're just sort of lying there. One fell over in a storm, and the other was one that I had for a tomato plant that did not survive. It's one that Heloise actually nibbled on, which is also why Heloise got sick. Because she was a bad girl and ate tomato plants. And so that one just never thrived. And so I had this extra cage just sort of hanging out. It sort of served as a place for me to stuff the rake. And mulberry. I think this is mulberry. Yep, it is mulberry. I think I can get one more layer on. It's getting a little full. But if she's going to be making a vest, she's going to need a little more when you know the, I think she mainly does copper, but she might do Nuno felting. If you're doing Nuno felting, sometimes you're using just a tiny bit. So often, like like a 2-ounce bat is like a lot for some felters. That's on my list to do more of. I'm actually teaching a little class locally. I'm using bats to felt. I'll get a little more over here. Right. Now with this kind of, it's essentially like 2 strips of different colors. So by flattening out, I am pulling it apart a little bit. Yep, definitely the last layer. It starts trying to transfer over. That means it's pretty full. Now once I'm done, when I take it off, I will tease it out so you will see more of the purple, dark purple, once it's completed. I thought was just a VM, turns out it's just more sparkle. I can get the sparkle to sparkle for you. Definitely getting full here. Okay, last bits here. Where did the green go? Oh, it's buried. There it is. Let's see if I have more of this. Okay, last little bit of silk. Okay, that is done. We are going to call this Janet's bat. Very, very original. Okay, so let's get this stuff cleaned up here. I'm going to move this. Oh, because I've rearranged, the place I would normally put this is not there. We'll put it down here. Stay. Okay. Get our piece of paper out. Find our pen. I've lost a pen, but okay. So it's going to be called Janet's bat. Okay, and let's get out the scale. All right. So if you watching along at home, if you want to guess how heavy it is, I don't think it's particularly heavy. I think there's a good bit of loft in this fiber. And it sort of springs apart as I break it. You must want to have a nice cup of tea. That sounds lovely. Okay, so bat is broken. Now I'm going to press this left-hand side down. You're watching on an Android phone, or recording on an Android phone. So everything is flipped. That's just the way it is. I'm worried about this piece of silk here. It's going to get sort of combed out as the drum goes back by the liquor in, but we'll see what happens. Okay. Definitely going to need the knitting needle to release some of the fiber from the drum cloth, the curtain cloth. Nice and thick. Maybe it is heavier. It's got a nice hard going back through there. The backside, isn't that pretty? Definitely got some combing action. So I'm sort of going, you can't see it because I'm covered up here. I had to go through and sort of pull some of those ends off. Okay, so before fluffing, this is what it looks like. And you can see the various layers there. Probably less on the, you can see a little bit on the purple side. You can see it better because I often put like the add-ins near the edge. So you can see the multiple layers there. So I will be taking photos of this in a little bit after I do my fluff and fold and roll. But we do have to weigh it. So this is your chance to guess how much it weighs. So I'm just going to roll it real quickly off camera. Just have the camera set up that way. Oh, it feels really thick, so I don't know. I really don't know. Let's find out. If it's really big, you can make a really big vest with it. Oh, good, decent size. Not huge, but not tiny. So it is 2.65 ounces. And I've got Season of Giving on here. I think I'd remember with the name Janet's Bat. So, yes. So that is it for today. Thank you very much for tuning in. Leave a comment if you have any questions. If you're watching this later on YouTube, leave a comment if you have any questions. Okay? And I'll get back to you. Thank you very much for tuning in, and I will see you all around on social media. Take care.